It's new, and welcome back to It's New. Today, it's just, again, no just, but sorry, just Greg, Finn, and I.
Gee,
Um,
thanks.
um, and I guess it's not new because we had that situation last week also, but I think it's Memorial Day, and the two people who are outside of the United States, although I think it's in the UK, it also is Memorial Day. So I think they also celebrate that there. So only Morty's slacking off because Crystal does have Memorial Day today. That being said, we have a lot of stuff to discuss around AI overviews from Google, the backlash around that, and a lot more changes that Google, is making and saying around that topic. So let's get into it.
All right, so the flagship product, AI Overviews, as we saw, a few weeks ago, called AI Answers in a test. AI Overviews is having some issues. There was a great post that you put out, kind of summarizing, what was it, 30 sources of
Over 30 sources, like big sources. I didn't include all the small sources, like small blogs, but big
and
sources.
this ranges from BBC, CNBC, The Verge, Bloomberg, Forbes. Everybody is kind of questioning some of these answers that Google's AI overviews are giving. And I also think a few of those were maybe fake that made it in because they got pulled down pretty quick. But there were a few that we talked to a few weeks back about the drinking urine. There were a few that were pretty bad from a AI overview standpoint, like how many rocks should you eat? You should eat a few small rocks a day was one that people could find. Another one that was seemingly bad was, can you leave a dog in a hot car? And so all of these news sites have been going around and aggregating and finding all of these different bad AI overviews.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Google did update its documentation to add that if you don't want to show AI overviews in your search results, you can click on the web filter, which doesn't just remove AI overviews, it also removes everything else outside of just web results. So, and also that you can actually report them by clicking on the little menu icon and submitting feedback, and Google will take action on that. That was spotted by Gagan. I'm so bad with you're really good at names. Gagan Gorta.
Yeah, it's a Gagan Gorta. But
And he found that was pretty cool. And there was so much coverage. Like BBC is huge, like you said, New York Times, The Atlantic, and they go through this. And Google gave some comments, I think, to The Verge and to New York Times and so forth, saying that some of these are fake. People are just posting stuff, faking it, and they're not real. When they debug it, it's not there. But I don't know how you debug something that's AI that generates stuff on the fly. So I don't know. I mean, I think some of these are definitely fake. And also some of them are like being triggered. Like you can't have to say like, I want to eat rocks now. Show me how many I should eat. It's going to tell you how many you think you should eat.
yeah.
I mean, it's really like you see some of these queries. They're like really pushing Google to the AI to actually give you an answer that is probably not good. That being said, it's really making its mainstream media, and it kind of died down over the weekend. It was big on Friday and Saturday, and then the stories kind of like just stopped on Sunday and today Monday. So I don't know. This will probably roll over with the other stones that you're eating, but I'm not sure. Do you think this will have a big backlash for Google in the coming weeks, or do you think it's over with?
Honestly, like I don't think it will. I think I'm maybe on the opposite side of everybody else. And I mean, to me as a kind of human, I think it's bad when you search and say, how do you keep cheese on a pizza, where you're not intentionally trying to like, coax the AI to give a bad job. And then it tells you to mix in non-toxic glue into your pizza to keep the cheese to stick. That seems to me like a bad experience as a user. But we saw almost 30 stories on Friday. What did the stock price do? Do you think it tanked? It went up. It went up. Like, I mean, I think that's like, if I was looking at him like, this really has to hurt him. No, it didn't. It went up almost a point. And it's like,
Right.
You look at this stuff and you know that this isn't the final version of AI overviews. I think, and I think you touched on it in the story, like at a minimum, they should figure this out for your money or life stuff, because that's bad when we see that you need to drink urine, and eating rocks doesn't really fall into there. But a lot of the health stuff, I think that they could get rid of a lot of the really like dubious stuff. But I think that when you look at what are investors like betting on, they're betting on what the next thing is. And this, Barry, you listen to the show Marketing Clock that I run every Friday. I've been adamant that this thing is not launching as is. I've been adamant about it. There's no ads in it, and it doesn't do a good job answering anything. And I'm like, it's never going to launch like this. And it launched like this. And I think they're just going to keep reiterating and probably pulling it from searches and having it a little bit less visible. And then I think they're going to keep going with it.
How does it feel to be wrong?
Not good. I like being right, being wrong.
I don't know. And I think it's funny. I mean, I do agree. It's funny watching Bing's reaction, like Michael Schechter. I'll send it to you right now. He posts this like GIF of like people like complaining about Google's AI overviews because he's like working at Microsoft, and Microsoft's doing whatever they want, and nobody really cares. Like Microsoft's having a blast, like building out their AI, because Google's like just getting beaten up about it. And if you search hard enough at Bing, also you'll find some really bad AI answers over there as well. So it's pretty funny to see Microsoft go at it with Google. But like you said, it is surprising to see them launch like this. I did think they would hold back on the YM, YL categories. They told me that a year ago when SGE was being tested. But then when I asked them about AI overviews, it's like, no, we're not going to hold back. We're going to do it when we think we can add value. And truthfully, drinking urine after you eat some rocks, it could be a good thing. So maybe they're just going all out and showing us what they think is good. So I don't know. It's been fun to watch, but I do agree. In a couple of days, this is going to blow over.
And to me, like, I would be having that little smirk on my face if I was Microsoft, because like they have Copilot, and we've talked about this a ton on the show. The current iteration of the AI overviews, it is really hard to know where the statement to put the glue in the pizza came from, right? And I think a lot of this would have just been blown over if you could hit a little number 2 button and you go and you see it's a Reddit thread and everybody's laughing and they're like, put glue on the pizza, staple it down and all this stuff. And you see it's just like a S post, basically, right? Like, and when you do something and use Copilot, they've got those citations right in line with where they're pulling things from. And I think that's something that's really hurt Google, right? We saw a few weeks ago, they had labeled this answers.
Right.
And like they were trying to answer things and they don't have all the citations that something like a perplexity.ai, or even, if you hit Copilot in Bing does. And I think a lot of the stuff would have been a non-issue, but the fact of the matter is sometimes you have a 6-pack of stories that you have to wade through at the bottom to try to figure out where things came from, instead of just being like, oh, that was a Reddit post. And everybody's like, the next post after might've been JK, don't do this,
But certainly Google is unconvinced. They're like, people are just showing a few examples. They're pulling out a few bad examples. Overall, by far, most of them are really great answers. And Google and people are just pulling out the bad stuff. And Google's like doubling up. They're like, we think they're great. I don't care what the web's saying. So it's very interesting to see their take. Sometimes Google would actually have pulled back on this a little bit, not fully, just pulled back a little bit. And Google has not. I mean, maybe they will in the future, but I don't think so. It looks like they're like, you know what, we're good. Chai is like, we're fine. Of course you can find bad examples with anything you do.
And it might take lawsuits too, right? Where you're like, oh, hey, Barack Obama was the first Muslim president, right? And then it's sort of person based, and you're still out there giving this as your number 1 answer on the world's most popular search engine. Maybe that's what it'll take is a bunch of bad answers around people, and that could be the case. I don't know. It just seems like this product is not done. This is a half-baked product at best. It is going live as their flagship. Maybe it's a little bit more than half-baked. That's how I look in your eyes, Barry. Where do you think this product is right now?
I don't know. It's hard to see what's fake, what's not real, and what. I mean, the sources, like you said, if they had the citations, it would solve a lot of issues. It would solve a huge amount of issues because you see where it's being pulled from. You can understand the logic behind it, and so forth. But without that, it's hard to know, and it's hard to say that it's half baked because Google put probably years and years of effort, tons of engineers on it. So I don't know if it's half baked. but it's just not working as well as it should. Just like when the whole Gemini stuff came out with the images, Google pulled that back and they said, okay, we made a mistake here. Here they're saying we're not making a mistake. It's interesting the differentiation between that Gemini example with the images and this search AI overviews going live.
Yeah, and I'd say it's happening because there's no monetization aspect of it yet, right? We just got a glimpse of it at GML, and all these little pieces that they've been pushing that are so strange now kind of make sense. Where if you watch that thing closely, the GML, you can see that anything that's a text ad is probably going to be a lot more visual. With that example of like the vacuum in there, but like right now, I would imagine this is costing them money.
And do you see that? I mean, it's kind of too early to see with your advertisers, but those so many different types of keywords that could show up. But are advertisers getting less clicks because they aren't being monetized yet, and the ads are showing above the side, the bottom? Maybe not. I don't know.
It's really hard to know because you don't know when these things are being fired. You know what I mean? And I think from they've done a good job of not showing it for a very e-com based click. Like if you go and type in a product, you're probably not going to see it at all. But if you type in like, what is the best, then it shows up. So I think a lot of those or any additional context around a product is where those fire. But yeah, I mean, I don't think they're turning this around. I think everybody thinks like we can make a big stink and this is going to go away, but this is the future. I just wish that they had been more thoughtful. And when you hear that interview with Nilay Patel and Sundar's like, we prioritize sending traffic to publishers with this. It's just like, I don't see it. And this is why you're getting in trouble. And it seems, and he even brought up that again, that zero click. And all these issues, most of these issues, to your point, would be gone if you could find the citation of where this pulled from and then go blame the other person. But they aren't doing that. They're taking it, they're putting it there, they're making it intentionally hard to figure out where content came from and intentionally hard to get to other locations, in my opinion. And that's what's biting them.
Great news. All right, awesome. We'll be back tomorrow. Thanks, Greg. Speak to you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.